That's what you want!
A house filled with ghosts, poltergeist activity, and a cry for help from the residents of the Manor House. Welcome to Most Haunted. Built in the late 1500s, the building behind me was once a manor house, then an orphanage, and now it's a hotel, but it holds a secret. Imprisoned souls are said to walk here, along with spectral images of children, dark figures, and also strange odours have all been experienced at the manor house. The house on Ferry Hill, now called the Manor House, began its history as a yeoman's farmer's dwelling in the late 16th century. The house passed through many different hands over the years until 1913. The vicar of St Luke's Parish Church had the house converted into an orphanage. It was soon realised that it was too small for this purpose, and it was reverted to a private residence owned by a local doctor. There followed several further owners until 1989, where it became a small hotel. This building looks friendly enough from the outside, but behind its doors lies ghostly activity so terrifying that we have been called in to help.
There's something different about this place, very different. The history of the building leads it to be haunted, especially the business of children and an orphanage, and there are children reported here.
The ghost of a tall woman has been seen walking up these stairs, searching for her baby that is said to be buried here.
The lady that owns the place says she's actually seen what she believed at first to be one of her cleaners on the staircase, spoke to her, she never spoke back and disappeared, and then she realised, of course, that she'd actually seen the ghost. This was an orphanage for a period of time, and there are reports of skeletons of children actually being found buried in the garden. They believe that this ghost of this lady may still be searching for her baby.
In room 7, the image of a large man has been seen staring angrily at guests before slowly disappearing, and lamps have been seen flying across the room.
Bruno and I were sleeping one night and we had a lamp shade and all the fittings fly over the room.
Her husband got out of bed, checked the lamp. The lamp was still standing there. It was just the top that had gone. No explanation whatsoever.
And another member of my staff was actually hit. When she was cleaning the bathroom, someone pushed her and it frightened her very much. So that is the only room in the place that I'm wary of.
This is room 8. Dark shadows have been seen in here floating from side to side. But more disturbingly, a young boy who was sound asleep was awoken by something grabbing his throat. The invisible entity then threw the child from the bed onto the floor. The mother, when she was checking, found that he had fresh finger marks on his throat.
He came downstairs crying, really sobbing, broken-hearted. And his Auntie Pat was with me, and he said that somebody had picked him up and thrown him off the bed. I insisted there couldn't be because there was nobody there, and he said yes, and look at my neck, and he had a big red mark right across his neck.
Now, that's 2 years ago. The little boy is still terrified. He will not go upstairs on his own. He sits at the bottom of the stairs and waits for a grown-up to go upstairs with him. He also has problems in room number 6, and he says that there are children in there with him, unseen children. He refers to them as them. They want to play with him. and he says they actually count from 1 to 10, and they want him to chase them. Now, there's been lots and lots of this sort of thing going on in various places, but I'm a bit concerned. I think it's poltergeist activity, and I think that it's possibly caused by the little boy. But it really has got him extremely worried. It's got the family worried, and they actually want something doing about it.
A sinister figure has been seen lurking in the corner of this room, room 6. Also, the sounds of a boy crying have been heard in the middle of the night. But who are they? We have 24 hours to find out. The Manor House is a small place, so Phil's baseline test didn't take very long. Drafty windows were checked, temperature and EMF readings were taken, and trigger objects were placed in active rooms. One thing that had intrigued Phil and the rest of the crew was the story of the 7-year-old boy who was thrown off the bed, and reports to his family how ghostly children play chase with him. During a conversation with Phil, the boy drew these pictures of the children that play with him. Many children have imaginary friends, but how many of them are imaginary? This child certainly seems to feel that he is definitely seeing and hearing these spirits. According to his family, he is terrified, so hopefully we will find out who these spirits are and rid the house of these so-called entities by the end of our investigation. Now, Phil, I know we're going to use the night vision camera later on for vigils, but because there are so many rooms here that are haunted, are we going to be locking some of these cameras off and just leaving them?
Yeah, one of the bedrooms I want to do this in is where a young child had an experience there. He was actually thrown out of bed. So we're going to lock cameras off there, and also I have, don't laugh, a trigger object. It's a child's trigger object, mainly because the child involved says he sees and witnesses spirit children.
And of course, because this used to be an orphanage,
exactly,
as you say, lots and lots of people are saying they're seeing the spirits of children, ghosts of children, so this is actually a good idea.
It's good, it's an association with children, and I'm hoping that the spirit children that haunt this place see it as some kind of comfort and want to actually interact with it.
Okay. Now, we know for a fact that, you know, this place, so many people have seen things here, so many things have been moved around, objects. You know, we've heard that, you know, perhaps we've got poltergeist activity here. But the one thing that strikes me as very, very unusual is we have the stories of the little boy who's 7. Now, he's very, very traumatised by what's been happening. He's seeing things, he's seeing children. Now, what can we do to help the family?
Well, because he's so distressed, they've actually asked us to do a spiritual clearance. So we've got one of our mediums coming in tonight, Ian Lawman, who's going to perform that for us.
OK, so it's going to be very interesting.
It's going to be good. I've not seen one before.
No, neither have I. As night fell, the family vacated the premises, leaving an empty building for us to spend the night in. We had asked medium Derek Okora to join us to hopefully see if he could contact any of the supposed spirits that are meant to roam here. With all of us together, we made our way over to begin our investigation at the Manor House.
Now, I'm just witnessing psychically an apprehension of a person and persons going back in time that were in this area. And, you know, the only way I can put it, Ivy, and it might sound strange, but fearing for their lives.
Who were fearing for their lives?
I feel that I've got mixed energies of people who were brought into this area. No doubt, maybe it didn't look like this as it is, with the slight banister rail and what have you. I feel as if people lost their lives here.
Who are they, or what are they fearful of, do you know?
Fearful of, I feel, an individual who showed no mercy. He is a most staunch, grounded, spirit person in this building. Whether it's happening here, whether it actually happened here. But you know when a person is hung?
So is one person hung here?
No, many.
Many?
A number of people, I feel, yeah. And, you know, for crazy things, if you like. But it seems as if this person was meting out the justice, but wasn't of justice.
Right.
It's like a one-man band.
So
it's like
his own back then.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel the sordid, evil mind of this soul is still present in this building.
Sam give us a name, possibly?
Hopefully, yeah. I'm
we go
really,
along, yeah.
really keen. You know, I want to know for us. And, you know, I feel ego played a big thing in this person's everyday life. A person who wanted respect from people. And if people didn't show him respect, a couple of days later, so he'd go, get hold of them and string them up.
So
That's how evil.
he was a murderer then?
Yes, absolutely.
I noticed just down there you were sort of touching your neck and you was a bit
Yes,
sore. Was that an indication of what went off here?
Aching, yes.
Where do you want to go? We can either go up here or we can go...
Derek was already picking up on the presence of one man, but it seemed the spirits were only just getting started. Derek had quickly felt the presence of a male at the manor house, but we still needed to investigate the bedrooms where most paranormal activity has been reported.
Now this here, this bedroom, we get spirit energy coming in, and I feel on a regular basis. And, you know, I'm not saying it's just him, but he would be around this area at times, most definitely. And feelings of... if someone was sleeping here, if they were, they would most definitely be disturbed by this activity.
Be woken up by it.
Absolutely.
What sort of things would he be doing?
Anyone who was physically sleeping here would be woken up, no doubt, I mean, we've got lights and stuff, elevated things being, you know,
Right.
up and tossed.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like poltergeist activity. Even maybe, I'm not saying the bed turned over, but the likes of a knocking.
Yeah.
And really, really trying to put fear into the person that was resident
That's
here.
happened,
That
hasn't
has
it?
happened, yeah. Do you get the impression that this man might actually cause physical damage, physical harm to anybody?
I feel he's tried.
Right.
This is why I don't like, I really don't like, because his capabilities seem to be, he must have been so, like, focused in his physical life, strong-minded, negatively strong-minded, that he's found since going into the spirit body or leaving the physical, that he's still got this strength. And I would say he's a dangerous spirit.
Right.
A lunatic. I'll tell you this, though. He found his last breath was coming from hanging with a rope.
Oh, so he
So
was...
justice got him.
Right.
Justice got him. But even though he was, you know, taken that way, it was a rushing back here in his spirit body,
He wanted
and he
to
hasn't budged since. When he's close by, I'll be able to link in, hopefully, and find out a lot more about
Well,
it.
let's move on and see. Hopefully you might be able to hit him up.
We continued on the walk around and Derek was drawn to room 8, where the boy said he'd been thrown from his bed.
What's the matter? What?
You're right, Derek.
This, okay, as we walked into this area here, here, in this placement here, there's a vortex, okay? The vortex for in and out of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And in this room, experiences such like of total fright. I feel in this energy is taking place. And that fright, the gutless negative soul has to pick on a vulnerable, sensitive child. Excuse me. That's him doing it, okay. If he wished to, this negative soul could take this, even this, or any of this furniture here, and just hit it up in the ceiling.
Really?
And on it, stand it up, and bring it down, because I feel he's done that. This is the central vortex of this negative soul.
You're upset, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're just picking up on the
Child,
little boy's
yeah.
fright.
His fear and what have you. This boy, it's a wonder he didn't lose his voice, because of what that horrible, bestial, negative, evil man did to him. He picked his mark on this child. He picked his mark. This child's lying there, fast asleep, suddenly to be awoken with this bed lifted up off the floor, rattled against this wall, came up this way. He was out of the bed virtually come down on him. And this monster, spirit monster, was laughing. This child could hear the audible voice and the smirking from this person at the time. It's the boy. It's the boy here.
That's right, yeah.
You see, I'm here now, and I'm also going to another place in mind, away from here. And that is outside, because the two things are connected. Well, the only way I can describe it is I want to go down and under. Down and under.
Just for outside?
Yes, down and under. And there's a lot of wretched souls who are not at peace, at rest at all. I mean, a lot of them that are separate to him, what he did to them.
Derek had been referring to the cellar, which can only be accessed by going outside and down some stairs. It was time to turn off the lights and switch to night vision. We left Richard Felix in the monitoring van to see if any activity would be picked up by the locked-off cameras. Before we made our way down to the cellar, we asked medium Ian Lawman to conduct a solo vigil there. Would he pick up on the same unpleasant spirit that Derek had sensed upstairs?
Right, I'm actually down the cellar now on my own. It's quite a weird place. Some strange noises. Oh God, starting to get short of breath now. I don't think getting like a tightness around my shoulders. I feel very emotional. I can hear horse hooves walking past. I can hear a gentleman shouting. It's quite strange. It's just like I'm waiting for something to happen, really. I feel very uneasy down here. I'm now starting to actually, for once, in my life, starting to feel quite scared. It's, I can hear children screaming. It's quite horrific.
Ian had become quite emotional in the cellar and had left after only a short time, but we were keen to investigate for ourselves, so we ventured into the dark, unpleasant cellar.
Now, earlier, before we came down into the cellar, I was very aware and become made aware of sadness, unease, unhappiness, not rested, all those ingredients put together psychically, and that's been born out of not one but a collective amount of spirit people who still return back into this area as if, you know, they would come down into the cellar area. And I feel this state of wretchedness is still here, thick in this residual energy, but linked with the residual energy is this visitation.
Why would they come down here into the cellar?
Well, because their last thoughts are still with them. So, of course, they're retracing their steps prior to it. And I feel that there would have been a period of time that they were not sure whether they, even though they're in the spirit body, if they're still being, you know, sought after by this horrible soul that put them to their death.
Right, I see.
And there's this collective energy of talk where they're trying to collectively try to bring his downfall. In other words, the hatred of the man.
Oh my God!
What?
Oh, don't
Something
say
just
that.
touched the back of my head.
Really?
I
Did you feel that?
felt something.
Yeah, look, there's bits hanging
Yeah, but
down.
I was sitting here. I was sitting.
You really scared me then, John.
Well, oh man, I don't know.
You
That
really,
felt a bit odd.
You really scared me then, mate.
Can we leave now?
Now, also, just quickly, you know, under the ground here, outside there, underneath, those flags. A lot of people, a lot of souls would have been down under the ground there.
Right.
The skeletal form, the waste of the physical, these people were found.
So you're saying skeletons were found here?
I feel
What the
around
hell?
here, yes.
What was that?
Did you feel something then?
I can hear noises.
It sounded as though it came from
There was like a ticking sound, wasn't there?
scratching, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Could be animals, could be...
We are being listened to right now. I feel it's this degenerate character, this bad soul, that is actually now, maybe he's come into the atmosphere close and he's listening.
Something went down the back of my head. For fuck's sake, I'm not joking you. Please, let's get out.
Okay.
There was something that went like that down my ear holes. It's not fine.
Room number 6. There's rather a lot of activity going on. I've seen 2 absolute belting orbs going across the bed.
So if you can get yourselves over there, I would think it's probably worth it. Room number 6. Over.
Can we get
It's
out?
coming down your
Shit
ear, yes,
up.
okay. I mean, it's
It was
bound to
really
do
like
these
it was
things.
like a like that.
Okay.
Get out.
Yeah, hold on a second, Richard.
There's nothing down here that can hurt you. Right, you've got Derek here, you've got me here, you've got everyone else here. Sweetheart. Nothing?
You didn't make a noise, did you, Phil? You
Don't
didn't
think
make
so,
a noise.
as far as I know.
You didn't go like that.
Not like that, no.
Oh, I don't want to go on my own.
It can't harm you, okay? It can't harm you.
Wasn't expecting anything to happen down there.
No.
It was interesting that as I'd heard the whisper, Richard Felix witnessed 2 light anomalies in bedroom 6. With no one in this room at the time, the light couldn't be easily explained. Although I was still petrified, we headed to bedroom 6 to investigate further. And there was more waiting for us upstairs.
You all right?
After my experience in the cellar, I was happy to be back in the main house. We returned to room 6, where Richard had seen the light anomalies.
This is where he does develop and manifest.
Is there energies there at the moment, Derek?
I feel that this man, this one here, the one who actually comes here, is the one who is responsible for all these bad deeds, okay? His presence of energy shifts about this building right across, up and down.
Well, I do know that the dark shapes have been seen, haven't
Okay,
they?
this is him then.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. And he, more than anyone else at this property, is wanting to really throw us into a state of disarray. Do you hear that?
I heard that.
Do you hear it? He's
look.
here.
I'll
He's
have a look.
here.
I'll have a look.
He is here. He's here. Careful, okay?
What was that noise?
Yeah, what was that noise?
Disarray. Do you hear that?
I heard that.
Do you hear it? He's
I'll
here.
have
He's
a look.
here.
I'll have a look.
He is here. Come and take us on, you sick spirit. Come on, show us what you can do. He's back out in the hallway. His energy's back out in the hallway. Can we just go there?
I didn't get an EMF reading. There wasn't one, no.
Okay. His energy's here to this area
Can I
here.
have a look? Right.
Careful.
Okay, Derek, nice one. I'm just going to do a sweep of this corridor here. Right, okay.
At your height now,
Right.
okay? He's lower, but he's stooped like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Is he still here? Is he still around?
His residual energy is,
Right.
again, there's this quietude has come again. He's playing with us. There's no two ways about it. He's playing with us.
Should we go back in the main
Yes,
room, do you
please.
think, yeah?
Yeah.
Whoa, Phil.
What's up, what's up,
Did you throw
what's
your
up?
thing on the floor?
Hey?
Did you throw your thing on the floor?
No?
Where was it?
That's just landed on the floor.
I heard
I heard that drop.
We've just heard a clout. And that
Okay.
Where was it?
Garla got pins and needles. I have no idea. I've just heard a clout and just flipped
I heard that.
Okay, back in.
No way was it there. I put it on here. It was there. Like that, because I went out there.
God, that's really sort of giving me goosebumps, that.
Seems to me that when you're kind of just chatting amongst yourselves, that's
Yeah.
when things
That's
happen.
when, yeah.
It's the same
Does
though
it
with
take
both
you
sides
out?
things though, innit? Stuff happens. It's not when people are there saying, is there anybody here? It's just when you're just there, you know,
Yeah.
tucked away and
Yeah.
not expecting it.
We were all keen to go back to room 8, where Derek had felt the presence of an evil male. Could this spirit be responsible for throwing the little boy? Although I was very apprehensive, Derek convinced me to try and provoke a response from this spirit.
Don't make it sound like an out-and-out challenge, but just in an encouraging way.
Okay. If you can hear my voice and you can see us, we know that you have been seen, we know that you've been heard. But is it really you? Is it really you that can do all these things, that can move things and scare people? If it is, then show us. Show us tonight that it's really you. If you're capable, and we think you are, then show us. Or are you capable? Are you capable of doing these things? Please prove to us that you are here. I'm asking you now, please try and do something, move something, make a noise, make something bang, anything at all. Do it now, please. Do something. Show us that you're here. Well, you're obviously not then. You're obviously not the man that we thought you were. You obviously can't show yourself or do anything. That's a shame then. Obviously a complete coward.
Confrontation! Dude! Confrontation! Confrontation! Yes! That's what you want! Hey!
Come on, Derek. Chill out. Derek, come forward. Derek, come forward.
I'll slit you! Get it!
Derek, come forward.
Give me it!
Derek,
Get it!
Derek, Derek, come forward, Derek.
Let's get in.
Derek, calm down.
Derek believed he'd been possessed by the spirit who supposedly slaughtered children and subsequently had been hanged. This experience left him completely drained, and it took the crew a while to calm him down.
That's what you want! Oh, he's a bad one. He's a bad one. He's evil. He's evil.
When Derek felt more relaxed, we got ready to start the vigils. Ian, John, Richard, Simon and myself decided to investigate room 6, where children's voices have been heard on numerous occasions.
How long do you want? What's the matter? What's the matter? What's the matter?
Just thought I heard somebody outside. I can see like cots and things like that, so I could understand why they hear babies crying.
Colder in here than anywhere.
It's freezing.
Much colder in here than
But
anywhere
if
else.
there's a lot of babies in here, you're bound to feel the cold, aren't you?
Yeah.
Why? What do you mean?
Because I just feel this wall wasn't here, and I just feel like it was just one big room of really young babies in here. Small, like newborn children, very small.
It sounds to me like there's something outside there in the landing.
You're right, Ian.
He's coming.
What?
He's coming.
Stick together, stick together.
Whilst we were upstairs, Stuart ventured into the cellar alone. This was where I'd heard a man whisper in my ear, an experience which had truly terrified me. Was Stuart brave enough to sit out a solo vigil here?
I'll just have a chat to myself now. Do a séance on my own, a bit of a vigil, to see if there's anything there. So, there goes. Hello? If there's anyone there, can you please show yourself? Can you please make the same noise to me in my ear like you did with Yvette earlier? I'm not here to harm you. I'm not here to frighten you. If anything, you'll be here to frighten me. Because you have the powers to do that. You can see me. I can't see you. I can't see nothing. I'm in total pitch black. It's dark. I can't see anywhere.
Very nasty, man. Very abusive.
Did somebody hear
Yeah,
What?
I heard that.
What?
It's like a swell.
It sounded like the microphone or playback on one of these video cameras.
A swell.
that? Okay.
Yes.
He wants to say, get the fuck out. Make us go out. Oh, if Derek was in here, he'd swing for you.
No, but you're not going
I'm
to do
telling
that.
you now.
But you're not going to do that, are you?
No. I want to grab you by the throat and fucking throw you out. That's what I want to say to you.
But you're not going to do that, are you?
No. I just feel very emotional.
Just move places. I don't fancy being thrown out of the bed.
You've just got no right to be in here.
This is
Not
what
at
he's
all.
saying. Yeah.
It's for children. And these children are our property. You're interfering.
Does this man control these children?
This
Is
man,
he their overseer?
He funds the whole building. He's a very wealthy gentleman.
Why is he still so aggressive then? What did he do to them?
Children should be seen and not heard.
Did you beat the children?
I would punish them
Why?
because they would do wrong.
What would they do wrong?
They would speak.
I actually feel as though there's actually a presence here now, actually staring at me, or watching me, or he might be sat beside me, or stood next to me, I don't know. But I actually feel very nervous. I don't know why. I didn't feel as bad before when I came in because I'd not called out for the guy, you know, or the thing or whatever's there. But now I've said that, I kind of feel as though I've dug my own grave, you know. I've therefore made my bed, so I'm going to have to lie in it. I'm getting sharp pains now at the back of my ear, going round to the right at the back of my head to my other ear. It's a sharp pain. It's almost like a headache, but not quite, if you know what I mean. And it's come on over the last, say, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. Are you here? Come on, show yourself now. Come on, I'm getting a bit sick and tired of this.
I've got the worst headache. My left ear is killing me.
I hate women. They're useless.
This is so sore.
I presume he has women working with him here. So they have a purpose.
Oh, my head.
To work.
I'm not kidding you, my head is killing me. My left ear is so sore.
Does he haunt this place, Ian? Does he haunt this place because he feels it's still his property?
Yeah. I'm getting the name of Stanley's.
Stanley's.
Yeah. That's only one name. But I felt it was, he travels from London.
My ear and the back of my ear and my head is absolutely excruciating.
I'm actually developing pins and needles now all over. So, in both feet. The pain is getting, it's getting unbearable now. The pain in my head is getting unbearable. It's turning into a splitting headache, basically, to sum it up, how I'm feeling at the moment. If that's his way of trying to communicate with me, well, great, you know. If I was to know that for sure, well, I'd be really pleased, you know, in that he's tried his best to communicate with me the best he knows how. And, you know, at least I've gone away with something, whether it is a headache, I know it doesn't matter, but something's better than nothing, isn't it?
It seemed as if Ian was picking up on the same evil spirit that had apparently possessed Derek earlier in the evening. There was definitely an oppressive atmosphere building up in the manor house, but this was certainly the calm before the storm. The most paranormal activity of the night had taken place in room 8, where it seemed Derek had been possessed by a violent male. So Carl, Rick and Stuart decided to conduct a vigil in this bedroom. Would this spirit make his presence felt again?
What happened earlier in this room was quite phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you always kind of feel a bit strange coming back into a room later on.
After what's gone on.
Yeah, but saying that, I feel fine. It feels a little bit, I don't know you guys, it feels a little bit oppressive or depressing in here.
Heavy.
But there might be because we're in the dark, the lights are out, and it is so dark you can hardly see a thing.
It sounds really weird saying this. I really want something to happen in here now with us, but at the same time I don't, because I know I've got to sleep in it. And to be honest, it's bloody cold outside. I don't fancy sleeping in the van.
We've got to look at the reality side of it. There's poltergeist activity that goes on in this room. When it goes on, we don't know, but we know it's gone on, don't we? Yeah?
Is there anyone here? Oh! Flashy light, flashy light. Would you have got it up there? Right in the corner. Would you have got that?
No, not right in the corner.
Seriously?
Yeah, a little flashy light, seriously. A little flashy light, just like a little...
Well, that happened when you said, is anyone here? Go on, go again, right?
Right, okay.
Is there anyone here? If that was you that... Oh, that's your shadow, yeah. There's anyone here? Please make yourself known to us. I did see you, but please do it for the others.
I'm really cold on this side. I mean, I'm on this side.
Yeah.
And this is a warm room.
No, just one.
You're alright, Carl. You don't look very...
I'm not. For some reason, I'm getting really spooked. I
Don't
feel
forget,
really uneasy and I'm cold.
I've got to say, Carl, actually, you don't look... I've done a lot of vigil. You don't seem like a happy bunny, actually.
I'm not. I don't know why. I'm cold, but I'm kind of... It's just that I think it's the... I don't know what it is. I'm absolutely free. I was warm.
I have gone cold myself. I really have. I've got goosebumps all up and down. Around my legs, the back of my neck.
See, I'm sure there's something over there. Bird.
What? Bloody joking, that wasn't a bird, that came from that corner, from that side. That noise came from over there, it wasn't from outside. I'm telling you now.
Well, come on then. If you're here, show us you're here. Or don't you exist? Are you just a figment of everybody's imagination?
What was that then?
What?
There was a light just at the side of you there, Rick. It was like... It was a green light that was there then.
Are you sure it's not a reflection of that?
Trust me, I know what I saw. There was just something there then.
Show yourself. You're too scared to show yourself to 3 men. Only to children. Only to a little boy. Only to throw him across the room.
That came from over there then.
I don't know where that came from.
That came from there.
I'm not scared of you. Do to me what you did to Derek. See how much...
Fucking hell!
Fuck. Christ!
What's going on?
No, this isn't funny.
No one's going to believe a fucking word. No
one's going to believe you.
Come on. The TV's gone on. What was that sound?
I'm not fucking...
No, it's called.
I'm not...
It's called.
Who's that?
Hang on.
See how much... See how much...
Control's on the top. The control is on the top, guys. Stu, you right?
Chill.
The control is on the top. You all right, guys?
What was the shouting going on?
Turn it off. Is that the control?
What's happened?
That's the control.
Oh, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm sorry.
What's gone off?
I can't fucking do this.
Hang on.
Sorry,
My camera's just gone off.
Fuck that, I'm getting out of there.
My camera's just gone off. For no reason.
Our investigation at the Manor House had been truly terrifying. Derek had seemingly been possessed by a violent and cruel spirit. There'd been noises heard, and Richard had witnessed some light anomalies whilst monitoring the rooms. Unfortunately, the child's trigger object in room 8 had not been moved during the night, but there was significant activity when the TV apparently switched itself on during one of the vigils. This experience left Carl, Rick, and especially Stuart really shaken. So much so that the boys chose to sleep in the most haunted van that night rather than take their chances in room 8.
Well, this is the end of a very different investigation. We've had absolute classic poltergeist activity.
The worst part of the investigation was most definitely up in room 8, when in a very short space of time I became superimposed by this negative energy of a male who was nothing short of a torturer, killer, sadistic, just bestial sort of human being that was there in evidence spiritually.
I went to room 8 where Carl, Rick and Stuart were doing a vigil on their own. And when I walked into the room, I can only describe it as being pandemonium. Stuart was that upset he had to leave the room. Rick was almost in tears. They got a bit bolshy to try and encourage some kind of activity to occur. And the next thing they knew, there was a loud bang and the television set came on all on its own.
The television switching itself on, huge bangs and crashes, noises, well, that frighten people to death, very similar to what people describe as furniture actually being moved around while they were actually in the room. And that, in my opinion, is you can't get better.
I have carried out an exorcism on this building now, so the people who live here and work here will now feel a lot easier and will sleep now at night. It was quite a traumatic exorcism though, very emotional for me, but I'm pleased to say that things are clear now.
I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with this investigation, and I think it's been a very good one, and I think it's been something slightly different.
One of the most interesting things that I've seen from all the footage is the experience with the TV switching on. The 3 members of the crew are sitting on the beds, and it's quite obvious, having spoken to them and looked at the footage, that they're not responsible for the TV being switched on. I have to hold my hands up and say I've got no explanation for how that TV came on. It would be interesting to speak to an electrician to find out if there's any possibility of it coming on because of a power surge or some other sort of reason, but from my own perspective, I've got no explanation.
Something went down the back of my head. For fuck's sake, I'm not joking you. Please, let's get out.
Okay.
Here we see Yvette reacting to some sort of auditory phenomena. She hears a growl or a noise in her ear. The interesting thing about this phenomena is nobody else hears it. So it's solely on the part of Yvette. So my first reaction is that we're getting some sort of auditory hallucination, which is not unusual in this sort of environment. Another possible explanation is that there's naturally occurring infrasound in the cellar. This is low frequency sound, and some of the symptoms from it would be sickness, headaches, a sense of presence, also the auditory hallucination that Yvette is experiencing now.
That's what you want!
Derek's apparent possession in this room is very, very violent. So there are 2 explanations here. The paranormal explanation is that he has actually been possessed by, yes, a very violent spirit and is reacting to that. The second explanation is that he's play acting. He's using this particular role, taking in what he thinks would be a possible spirit and enacting that role. It's quite interesting watching the end of the possession when he's actually being held down on the bed by members of the crew. He has extreme strength at that point. That may be caused by the adrenaline associated with this violent outburst, that he just finds unnatural strength.
We couldn't leave the manor house without trying to help the family, especially the young boy, who'd been so terrified by his experience of the paranormal. Ian Lawman had carried out a clearance, and since then there have been no further reports of anything going bump in the night. Until next time, sleep tight.
Well, the ghost hunting doesn't stop there. There's another episode tomorrow night at 9, and there's another one tonight in half an hour. That's after Most Haunted Extra, after the break.